The Honda Prologue is going away. By the end of 2026, Honda is going to be canceling production of the Honda Prologue, which will leave Honda and Acura with no more electric vehicles, at least for the foreseeable future. This past weekend, they canceled their future Acura RSX and their Honda 0 Series vehicles. Then in September of 2025, they canceled the Acura ZDX. Honda Acura, no more EVs. They are focused on hybrids. They believe the market has shifted and the need for EVs is kind of fading off, at least for now. They do say that they will focus on electric vehicles in the future when the market picks back up. But for right now, they don't want to do it, which just seems like the total opposite from what their competition is doing. Toyota, they're releasing more electric vehicle models than ever before. Same thing with Subaru. Nissan, while they are seeming to kind of go away from the Aria and canceling the base version Nissan Leaf, they're expected to come out with even more electric vehicles. Honda, on the other end, they're just kind of done. And it'll be interesting to see how this affects them as a company, especially as electrification continues to push forward. Or I wonder if they are kind of right. We're seeing what's happening with a lot of other automakers. They're losing billions of dollars when investing into electric vehicles. And you could just make the case that maybe they're just not good. And that's why people don't want to buy them and they're wasting money. And that's why they're not getting, the sales that they want out of electric vehicles. We saw the Ford Lightning cancellation. Stellantis has canceled a bunch of electric vehicles. And, it's kind of a sad moment. 2026 has been showing us a ton of new software-defined, high-voltage, fast-charging, high-range EVs, but we're also seeing the cancellation of some beloved EVs. Now, I won't say the Prologue was probably the most beloved EV, but for a lot of people who were into Honda vehicles, they were stuck with Honda as a brand. They released an electric vehicle. They want to go electric. Well, the Prologue was right there. And there was also supposed to be the 0 Series vehicles, software-defined, 800 volts, high range, super efficient. And those are also just never going to see the light of day, at least for now. And it's crazy that the Prologue is just going away. They sold about 39,000 units in 2025. Compare that to January and February of 2026, where they just sold 2,000 units. That does not put them on track for beating or even getting near that around 40,000 units sold in 2025. And so I guess in Honda's eyes, the Prologue was just kind of done. Now, the Prologue was built on GM's Ultium platform. So it wasn't really even their own vehicle. They pretty much just took the Chevy Blazer and put a Honda body and software and ecosystem on top of it. And that was kind of it. And so the 0 Series, the RSX, were meant to be Honda's own EVs. And the fact that they're not only leaving GM to build their EVs for them, they're done with that. They're also not building their own EVs. Things pertaining to electrification in Honda will be kind of stagnant. Now, again, they're looking to focus on hybrids. Wonder if that's just going to be your regular hybrid, or if it's going to be something like a plug-in hybrid, or will we see something like extended range EVs? But full battery electric vehicles at Honda are done. Now, when me and Shane, a Honda Prologue owner, recorded a video talking all about Acura and Honda canceling their future EVs, we recorded a video about it. And then the next day, Honda said, nope, we're done. And so this next bit is me and Shane talking about the Acura RSX and the Honda 0 Series going away. But I wanted to make this intro to talk about the Honda Prologue because it is gone and Honda is done. It has been announced that Honda is canceling 3 of their upcoming electric vehicles, which is pretty sad news because I feel like on this channel, I have been hyping up a lot of the work that Honda has been doing. We have their Afila program with Sony, but their own personal vehicles, the Honda 0 Saloon and the SUV. And then we also had the Acura RSX. This was supposed to be their higher voltage, next generation platform, software-defined EVs, and they're just kind of going away. And so I have Shane, our Honda Prologue owner, to kind of break down everything with me so we can kind of talk about what the market is like and why Honda could be doing something like this. But Shane, I'll kind of pass this to you. What are your thoughts? Because I see you post about your Honda Prologue a lot, the ups and downs, but overall it seems like it's a good EV that works for you.
Yeah, on paper, there's nothing really exciting about it. And technically, as we know, it's not even a Honda vehicle. It's a GM
Right.
or vehicle that's built by GM, branded as a Honda. But as we've seen, it's been really popular for a lot of people, despite the fact that it's not really pushing the envelope in any way. And for to kind of highlight some of my wife's thoughts and feelings about it, it's just kind of like it still looks and feels like a Honda. Obviously, it's just feels familiar. It feels reliable. It feels, simple and consistent. And those are the kinds of things that she wants in an EV. She doesn't care if it can go over 300 miles on a single charge. She doesn't care if it charges at over 300 kilowatts. Like, she's just a very, kind of normal consumer.
Right.
And so, something like the Prologue is actually really not that bad. And it's great around town vehicle. It's comfortable. It's quiet. It's got a reasonable amount of, storage and space for occupants and stuff. So for like an around town car, it's actually really not offensive anyway. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that. Like, I think we tend to write down a lot of EVs, especially a lot of us EV nerds watching, that something like the BZ4X or the Honda Prologue, which are often just vehicles that are on shared platforms, or, they're not super high range, super high voltage. There's nothing crazy about them, but what they do is bring Honda, Toyota, these automakers' audience from an internal combustion engine vehicle and bring them over to an electric vehicle. But yeah, it is just a Blazer and from GM, and they put the Honda, Prologue body on it.
Mm-hmm.
And at least it has some features that kind of differentiate it from the Blazer. But the Prologue sold over 38,000 units, 39,000 units in 2025. It was one of the best selling EVs in 2025.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so clearly, at least in terms of the electric vehicle market, the Prologue's doing kind of good. And you would think that Honda might want to invest more in something like this, where they clearly have a product. Mm-hmm. They have an audience that would want to invest in this product. People like your wife who just want a normal EV. And if they can get something compelling from Honda, it would sell well. But they are kind of backing out of that.
Yeah. So, and that seems to be consistent with some other automakers we're seeing, is that they're kind of scaling back their plans on future models and future platforms.
Yeah. I'll bring up this news release from Honda. Honda announces losses associated with reassessment of automobile electrification strategy. They say here, Honda today announced that it has made a decision to cancel the development and market launch of 3 EV models that have been planned for production in North America. This decision was made as part of the reassessment of the company's automobile electrification strategy due to various factors, including recent changes in the business environment. And again, that is the Honda Zero Saloon, the SUV, and the Acura RSX, which was expected to come out very soon. I mean, it was expected for like summer 2026. And so right before we're expecting to kind of get it, they're kind of just hitting the axe on it. And Honda's not the only automaker that's doing this. And I kind of just don't just put this video out there like this is what Honda is doing, but this is also something that we see a lot of other automakers scaling back on. We see Ford with the Lightning. They've canceled that, and they're kind of pushing more towards hybridization. Same thing in Honda. In this newsroom article, they talk about going towards hybrids, not EVs. Mercedes is continuing to invest in the internal combustion engine. As many cool EVs that they're releasing. Same thing with Nissan and Toyota. Like, they're introducing these EVs, but on the other side, they're like, we might scale back and introduce a hybrid. And it's kind of like sad to see. And I feel bad for them, because they're going to realize in time, as we continue to see Lucid and Tesla and Rivian and a lot of other automakers push towards electrification, kind of it works well. But what were your kind of thoughts from your side as an owner of a software-defined high-range EV, a Lucid Air, and then also Honda EV, a Prologue?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to have two different EVs from like two completely like almost polar opposites of the market. So it obviously is disappointing to see Honda scaling back on some of these. I think, at least in a lot of like the hardcore EV community, we feel like products from like Tesla, Lucid, Rivian, these are kind of the future, these really software defined vehicles that enable a lot of autonomy, that have they're really feature rich software stacks. But as you know, I guess some of these companies like Honda are seeing like maybe there isn't as much of a market for them that they're interested in going into, or something like that. So, and then on the Honda side, it is just more of a kind of simple vehicle, enables, things like Android Auto, CarPlay, things that people are just really used to using. They just want to get from point A to point B around town. They don't need all this hands-free highway assist or FSD, completely going point to point without touching the steering wheel, those kinds of things. I think it's unfortunate that they're kind of abandoning these kind of more software-defined vehicles that we're seeing a lot from these newer automakers. I think they could still have a lot of success in, releasing just kind of the tried and true, more simple vehicles, just like the Prologue. Like it sold really well. It's not impressive in any particular way, but it's still a decent vehicle for just kind of normal people. So I'm kind of surprised they're not at least just kind of continuing on that route. So catering to people that are still interested in EVs, but want a more, consistent experience from these brands that they are loyal to, like Honda or GM or Chevy or Ford or whatever it happens to be. So, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I do wonder if, and this is worth mentioning, that the Prologue is not going anywhere yet, as it seems. It seems like Honda still continues to expect to produce the Prologue, and so for those dedicated Prologue owners, you will continue to get it. But I wonder if maybe this could be a good strategy for an automaker like Honda, where the internal combustion engine is their best seller, and hybrids also do very well for them. They can continue to have General Motors invest in electrification. General Motors seems happy to do it. Honda can build vehicles on their platforms with the Honda edge to it, the Honda look, the Honda software, the Honda network, and you don't have to have as much investment. Because from the newsroom, it didn't seem like Honda was totally throwing that away, but still, the fact that they have the opportunity to make something good and kind of phasing it out, especially as they wrote down, I believe it was $15.7 billion of investment that they had towards electrification. They're kind of just pushing it away. And I guess for a lot of automakers, we saw Porsche over like 90% of their profit margin kind of gone, and they attribute a lot of that to electrification. Same thing for Ford and GM. They're writing down a lot of losses, Stellantis. And so while on paper, it definitely does seem that electrification may not be the proper move at the moment for a lot of these legacy automakers, I feel confident in the market still being electric. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at least for the timing, there's still room for things like Tesla, Lucid, and Rivian. They kind of have their space, and then there's kind of the normal, more established brands that will have their space and their customer base. And I think that's totally fine to have, people that want, cutting edge technology, really kind of, fancier, higher technology vehicles, and the people that just want a normal car. I think it's totally fine to have a market that, caters to and supports both groups of people.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. I thought it'd be a kind of quick conversation to kind of talk about Honda, but let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm definitely going to be there to kind of get everyone else's perspective on the matter, because again, it isn't just Honda that's doing this, and a lot of these automakers have the numbers to back up this problem that they're having, switching to electrification, it costing a lot of money, it affecting their business and future business strategy. But thank you, Shane, so much for joining.
You bet. Thanks for having me.